Hello, this is Lori Kassuba, Community Manager for AcrobatUsers.com. Welcome to our second on-demand seminar developed for the AEC community by members of the AEC community. This month's topic focuses on ensuring your PDF is accessible. And while we're working on this month's topic, we thought it'd be worthwhile to provide you some information on how to create accessible documents, but also to highlight the additional benefits of tagging a PDF. Things like reflow on mobile devices and search engine optimization. We've got a great group of experts lined up to provide you just this information. And first up, you'll hear from Duff Johnson on why creating accessible documents is so important and some common misconceptions. And then I'll go ahead and let Duff introduce the rest of the group. Duff, over to you.
Thanks, Lori. My name is Duff Johnson. I'm the CEO of Applegate Document Solutions, the first company in the world to offer Section 508 compliance services for PDF files. I also chair the U.S. Committee for PDF UA, which stands for Universal Accessibility. PDF UA is the forthcoming international standard for accessible PDF. If you're watching this webinar, you're probably interested in creating accessible documents. Achieving universal accessibility in electronic content is a major objective for many organizations, and it's the right thing to do as well. For many, accessible PDF is not only a good idea, it's also the law. Millions of people are blind or otherwise physically impaired and need structured content in order to read. Others want consistent, reliable results when extracting text, or larger type that makes reading easier. Government agencies are increasingly requiring that documents be accessible to all users. For example, U.S. federal agencies and contractors must comply with Section 508, which requires accessible websites and PDF files. In other cases, lawsuits have compelled a variety of companies to improve the accessibility of the content they place online. Online retailers, banks, insurance companies, and other businesses have discovered that they can improve services to their customers by ensuring that their electronic content is accessible. Today's content managers are increasingly aware that large portions of their websites consist of PDF files. Every organization wants better search engine optimization, and ensuring your PDFs are accessible can help Google and other search engines locate content for users. There are a number of common misperceptions about PDF accessibility. Chief among them is the idea that making tagged PDF is difficult. It's not, but ensuring PDF files are accessible is a lot easier if you create your documents with accessibility in mind. Today, we're going to hear from some other experts, each of whom will cover different aspects of PDF accessibility. First, Lori Kassuba will demonstrate how to create accessible documents from Microsoft Word using Adobe Acrobat 10.
Thanks, Duff. As Duff mentioned, an accessible document is not just for screen readers. It's beneficial for other purposes as well, such as those documents that are read on mobile devices using page reflow, or documents that are posted to the web and need to be optimized for searching. It's also beneficial for documents in which you plan to repurpose the content to improve things like copy and pasting or exporting your PDF to an Excel file. To create an accessible document, you first need to tag your file, and the best place to start the tagging process is when you begin authoring a document. So I'll start by showing how easy it is to create an accessible document from a file in Word. I'm using version 2010. A couple things to point out. I've used styles and headings to define the content. Simply using blank lines to separate the paragraphs will create issues with your file. I've also added alt text to my images. The tables in this document are only used for data and not as a layout tool. And finally, I've made sure that the document properties panel has been filled out. Next, I'm going to use the PDF Maker macro in Word to convert this file to PDF. You can also use the Save as Adobe PDF command, but be sure not to use the Adobe PDF printer because this won't add any tags to the file. Make sure that the checkbox for Enable Accessibility and Reflow with Tagged Adobe PDF is checked. Also, you want to make sure that bookmarks are selected for all your headings. Using the PDF Maker macro to create your PDF, it's going to tag the document and also not tag certain information like headers and footers, which should be artifacts and you don't want to be read by screen reading devices. Once your document has been converted to PDF, you'll still need to set a few more things in Acrobat. First, make sure the language option under the Advanced Properties tab has been set. Next, make sure that the tab order for your pages has been set to use the document structure. And then open the Tools pane and select the Accessibility panel. And if you don't see the Accessibility panel under the Tools pane, simply select the flyout and select it from there. And now the Quick Check, which is available in Acrobat Standard or Pro, just looks for the presence of tags and not if they're in the logical order. However, the Full Check, which is available in Acrobat Professional only, offers a much more sophisticated analysis. I'll go ahead and run the Full Check. And also note the various options that are available when running the Full Check. I can use Adobe PDF Check, Section 508, or either of the W3C checks. I'm going to go ahead and run the Adobe PDF Check, which is Adobe's interpretation of the reference guidelines. And because I set all the necessary items in Word and Acrobat, the Full Check hasn't detected any issues with this particular document. To get a look at the structure of this document, let's go ahead and open the Tags navigation pane, and you can see the structure of the document. You can also use the Highlight Content command to see the reading order that a screen device would use. Now, because I don't want a screen reader to read the alt text for this figure, I'm going to go ahead and move it further down within the structure tree. So now that you've seen how easy it is to create a tagged PDF from Word, I'd like to turn things over to AUC expert Donna Baker. Donna will be reviewing some of the new functionality for creating tagged PDFs from the latest version of Adobe InDesign CS 5.5. Donna, over to you.
Thanks, Lori. InDesign CS 5.5 offers new features for content reflow and repurposing files for mobile devices, along with applying attributes like alt text tags. My sample project is fairly complex with a bit of everything. I have multiple frames, images, text on a path, and a table containing a bulleted list. Applying tags in InDesign CS 5.5 works the same as it did in CS 5. That is, open the Structure panel and choose Add Untagged Items from the drop-down menu. You'll see the contents listed in the Structure panel. Tag order applies by default in that you see a list of figures first, followed by stories for each text frame. Items like the text on a path at the upper right are last, identified by an image tag. The story list isn't in any specific order. For example, I need to identify the story item and then reorder the list manually in the Structure panel to produce a logical flow. Here's the output in Acrobat 10. Although there are tags, you can see how a screen reader might have problems with the content. For example, the text on a path shows as a figure tag and reads as path, 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 etc. Running a full accessibility check shows some errors. The side graphic isn't included in the structure, nor is the heading created with a gradient color or the text on a path associated with another graphic. On the reading order panel, you see the items are definitely out of order, and there's no alt text tags for the images. Now let's look at the same document using InDesign CS 5.5. I need to assign tags to individual items such as the headings, and then reorder the list manually. The export tagging feature defines text markup based on InDesign styles and applies to tagged PDF as well as HTML and EPUB output. To map a style, open the Paragraph Style Options dialog box. For HTML and EPUB output, you can also map character styles. Click Export Tagging in the column at the left. Here you can map tags and classes for EPUB and HTML output, as well as choose a tag to map for PDF output. Search engines look for headings, of course, and it's easier to do with the new export tagging feature. The Edit All Export Tags is a great time saver. This option lets you view and map tags for an entire story or page from a single dialog box. Select Edit All Export Tags in the Paragraph Styles panel menu. Click the tag corresponding to the style and choose a value from the list. You can't preview export tagging within InDesign as it only impacts the exported file. Another new feature in InDesign CS 5.5 lets you define export parameters for text, graphics, and groups. The object export options apply to EPUB and HTML as well as accessible PDF files. Select the frame and choose Object Export Options to open the dialog box. The dialog box stays open so you can work through a page and add tags to all the content. Pick an option to define the alt text for the object. You can type the text or use text from the structure. Like adding captions, a new feature in InDesign CS5, you can draw an alt tag from the object's XMP data. For PDF export, you can use another new feature for actual text, along with alt text. In my project, I can change the problematic text on a path to an actual text string for reading. Now let's check out the exported PDF file. Since I exported my file using PDF version 1.7, I have better tagging for my table. If you export to PDF version 1.5 or higher, you'll now see better tagging for tables and nested tables. Tags are also applied to lists and nested lists, as well as footnotes and hyperlinks. In the accessibility report, you'll see most of my errors have been corrected. You'll see I'm still missing alt text for 2 images, which is a drawback of the process in InDesign. Unfortunately, there's no way to check for content for alt tags, which would be a nice addition to the InDesign pre-flight panel. The last topic I want to touch on is reading order. In the PDF document, you can't see the reading order on the page. However, if I show the reading order panel, you see there's quite a problem. For years, we've been able to add article boxes on a PDF document page to control what's shown on screen when using reflow. InDesign CS 5.5 now includes articles too. Be aware you can't edit InDesign articles in Acrobat 10 and vice versa, although they're called the same thing and work in similar ways. Back in InDesign, to add articles, select an item on the page and drag it to the Articles panel. In the resulting dialog box, type a name for the article. Then add more objects to the article thread or add more articles. InDesign articles work well for page flow in mobile devices, but not for defining reading order in a PDF file. For absolute control over the structure, you need to work in the XML structure panel in InDesign or set the reading order in Acrobat 10. And now over to Dave Austin for some post-processing tips.
Hello, this is Dave Austin. I'll be discussing post-processing tips for accessible PDF. Remember, the more you do up front in the authoring application, the less you'll have to do in post-processing. The demonstrations provided by Lori and Donna depict that upfront work. For a PDF to be accessible, the PDF contents language must be established, so ensure language is set. Create a pre-flight profile from the language pre-flight fix-up. Run this with Acrobat 10 Action or Acrobat 9 or 8 batch sequence. You can now set language for one file or many files. Tab order. To establish Use Document Structure, you'll open the Pages panel in the navigation pane. You'll select all the thumbnails for the pages and then select Property. In the dialog, you will select Use Document Structure. Provide metadata. This can be facilitated by use of an action or batch sequence. PDFs provide 4 fundamental metadata fields: title, author, subject, keywords. At a minimum, always provide a title. Remember, populating the description fields supports accessibility, general usability, and search engine optimization. Confirm presence of bookmarks appropriate to the content. Check your tables. Is the structure correct? For tables to be accessible, the table element structure must be correct. This can be readily viewed in the structure tree. Here we see that we have an element table head, and that contains a table row which contains TH cells, header cells, as opposed to in the body our table rows which would have TDs, data cells. We want to set the table summary. We want to set the scope of the 2 header cells, which we see here would be column. So we'll open Toro, the touch-up reading order tool, and we select the table, right-click, click on Edit Table Summary. In the Table Summary dialog, we're going to enter a brief descriptive summary of our table. And assistive technology can see that, provide it to the user so they can know what the table's all about, jump into the table, or move on. We'll go back to Touch-Up Reading Order tool and select our table. We come and select Table Editor. We'll pick our first header cell, right-click, click on Table Cell Properties. In the dialog, we see the default value for scope is none. So we change it to column, and we would do that for each header cell of a table, and we do that for all the tables to facilitate the table being accessible. Confirm any link element structure is correct and thus accessible. For a PDF link annotation to be accessible, it must have a specific format. The parent element is the link, followed by the first child, link-objr, object reference. This is the reference to the actual link annotation on the PDF page. And we have the container, which holds the destination of the link, or for a web link, the URI. Confirm Formfields accessibility. Confirm appropriate use of the figure element for images or graphics that are real content. Confirm each figure element has its required alternate text description. Confirm that content which is not real, that is to say not contributing to the semantic content, is identified as an artifact. Walk the structure tree with highlight content selected. A well-formed structure tree will reflect the logical hierarchy of the content and dictate the content read order gracefully. Sometimes when you look at your structure tree, you'll find that there are empty tags. Using the Enter key to provide white space between paragraphs applies the paragraph tag or style to the line. The tagged output PDF will have an empty tag which will need to be removed. Export the tagged PDF to an accessible text file. Review this file's content flow against the PDF's structure tree and PDF page content. Perform accessibility full checks. Use Adobe PDF and Section 508 checks. And that concludes this discussion of post-processing tips.
Thanks, Dave, and welcome to the news. Last episode, we were talking about Acrobatcom, and shortly after we went to air, a couple of new features were announced. Firstly, users of Adobe Send Now can upload video files for the first time without having to compress them into zip files first. Send Now is integrated into the share pane of Acrobat and Adobe Reader 10, or you can access it directly in a web browser. Just visit sendnow.acrobat.com. Free users can share files up to 100 megabytes with the files hosted on Adobe's network for 7 days. The user simply gets an email link to download the file, so you're not limited by having to pass large files through email attachments. A subscription increases it to 2 gigs per upload, 30 days of storage, 20 gigs of total capacity, and delivery notifications. Adobe Create PDF has been running on desktop machines for a while now, and this ability to convert documents into PDF is now available to mobile users, with a Create PDF Android app in the marketplace right away, and an iPhone app due out very soon. Both use the same cloud-based PDF conversion engine we're used to using on the desktop or through a normal browser, with unlimited conversions for a one-off price when you buy the apps. Now, talking of mobiles, we're noticing quite an increase in the consumption of PDFs on mobile devices, mostly driven by the tablet market, but some files are really not all that easy to handle, certainly on a small screen and with lower power processors in cell phones. As Duff said earlier, tagging PDF files for accessibility does really help in this respect, as it allows PDF software to reflow the content of large pages to fit small screens. But if you're trying to read a 1,000-page, 500 megabyte document, things can still easily grind to a halt. There's a new app from developer Smalltalk which is solving this problem in a unique way by processing the PDF file on a desktop machine to make it faster to render on the device, and also converting some of the image compression formats which we can use in PDF files but which iOS can't render. This mobile app can also do the pre-rendering itself, but of course, relying on mobile hardware, it's a lot slower. Back on the desktop, users of Adobe Acrobat and Reader who work with digitally signed documents will see an update to their Adobe approved trust list in the next couple of weeks. It was released May 23rd, and once you've opened a digitally signed PDF or you've created your own signature, the software will check for a new list every 30 or 90 days, so not everyone's going to see the message at the same time. The AATL is a list of certificates that Acrobat and Reader will trust and ensures that if you're opening a PDF file with a digital signature that can be traced back to one of these root certificates in the list, it can be verified as authentic, displaying the green tick box on the document message bar even if you're offline. Files with validated signatures have a little more access to some features around scripting, so it's important to make sure that if you're working with a signed file, it is actually a genuine signature, and the AATL is there to handle all of that automatically. Each time an update is detected, you will see this dialog box, and we recommend everyone does agree to download and apply the updates. For more information, you can visit the Adobe Security website via the link on screen. Now, talking of security, if you have an interest or experience with protecting PDF files, either with Acrobat or other tools like Lifecycle, Adobe would be very grateful if you could fill out a quick survey to help improve the services they offer in future. The survey is online for a short time via a service you may have heard of, Adobe Forms Central. So if you want an excuse to try Forms Central, then why not visit the link, fill out the form, and let Adobe know what you think. One group who know a thing or two about security is the US Department of Defense, and if you're working within the DoD and you want to learn about the new features in Acrobat 10 and Creative Suite 5.5 that will help you out in your work, Adobe are actually touring a load of military bases in the US over the next couple of months to help people out with demonstrations and Q&A sessions. For a list of dates and a registration form, just visit the Adobe Government Events website using the link on screen. And finally, yay! We are pleased to announce that Acrobat 10 has won the 2011 Cody Award for Best Content Management System. The Cody Awards have been running for 25 years. They're the software industry's only peer-reviewed awards, voted for by other software companies. And so we would like to extend our congratulations to the Acrobat team, all 950 of them, for their award. Now that's it for the news this month. So for something completely different. Now, many of you who are working with InDesign and Acrobat will probably have bought them via a copy of Adobe Creative Suite. But there's actually another suite with Acrobat in it, Adobe Technical Communication Suite, or TechCom or TCS. This is a Windows product suite designed for people building technical documents like user manuals or help files, an area where accessibility is often really important. TCS version 3 includes Acrobat 10 Pro, and to explain how all of this fits together, I'm joined by Tom Aldous, who's the Adobe Product Evangelist for TechCom Suite, and he's just flown back from the Technical Communications Summit in Sacramento. So, hi Tom, thanks for joining us. Hope you had a good time at the conference. Anything exciting to report?
I did have a great time at the Society of Technical Communicators 2011 conference in Sacramento. This year was really special. Basically what we saw at the conference this year was we're past the reaction of the slowed down economy, and now people are really interested in what they can do moving forward to enhance their workflows. And there's really been a huge concentration on how they can incorporate video and other enriched media into their content and output to that new device out there, these tablets. So everybody's asking about how we can output our content to tablets without having to redo all our past work, our legacy documents.
Our viewers might not all be entirely familiar with TextCom Suite. Can you give us a quick overview of what it can do and why, for example, someone might use it over something like InDesign?
Yeah, when it comes to the Tech Communication Suite, it's really made up of 5 products. We have Framemaker 10, RoboHelp 9, Acrobat 10, Captivate 5, and Photoshop CS5. And there's actually a special integration between the products, so you can do more with each individual product because they're within the suite. But when it comes to technical communication, basically what we have here is the ability to do single sourcing. So we have the ability to create documents that could happen to be long documents. Frame started out in the long document business, where we could create documents anywhere from 1 page to thousands of pages. And that's really where we got our start. And the whole concept of conditional text, being able to single source, create one document. With the Tech Communication Suite, you're able to create this content that will be published for paper in PDF, but also be able to publish it with a click of a button using the integration within the suite to be able to pump out this content into different devices. So those beautiful little tablets, those Android phones, those iPhones, the iPad itself, they need an EPUB file. Frame can now publish that within the Tech Communication Suite. There's several other features. Frame is also excels when it comes to structured Framemaker and XML itself. So what we basically do is we try to provide companies everything they need to create long documents, to reuse as much content as humanly possible, and to post that content into content management systems, creating a workflow that's very efficient and cost-effective.
So I presume Framemaker is quite a bit different to use than InDesign.
Yeah, InDesign and Framemaker are definitely 2 different products. We go after 2 different markets. InDesign is really good at layout, magazine design, book publishing. So if you're looking at the typography engine and you want a perfect layout of your text visually, InDesign is the way that you want to go. When it comes to Framemaker, what we are really good at is XML, as I was telling you. What we do is basically the market is really moving towards this application-independent format for their content called XML. We provide tools so you can move unstructured content, non-XML content, into XML format that's built into the product itself. And once that conversion has happened, you can adopt multiple standards. We support S1000D for the aerospace industry, DITR 1.2, it's the latest release of DITR, and that's a very popular standard these days for creating anything from training materials to long documents. And we support all the reuse models within DITR 1.2 and the latest features that are built into that. We also have built-in integration with content management systems at no additional cost. So, our users are able to push their content, be it unstructured, structured, or XML, and put it onto SharePoint or Documentum or any web dev-enabled content management system. So that's really where we excel versus InDesign, which really does have a beautiful layout. Although Frame allows you to have multiple layouts throughout your document, but what we do is we excel on a single flow. So if you're looking at a manual with a single flow, Framemaker is probably going to be your tool of choice. If you have multiple flows, like a magazine layout, Although Frame can do it, that's where I'd recommend InDesign.
So how does Acrobat fit into the whole picture of TechCom Suite?
Basically, what we've done is we've leveraged Acrobat to its fullest. Acrobatcom being a fantastic cloud resource. Reviewing content is an extremely important part of the workflow for what we do. And what we provide because of Acrobat and Acrobatcom is the ability to have people review content that's being created with the TechCom suite for absolutely free. So this is how it works. During the content creation phase, you may want to send out some chapter or a full book or a manual out for review. So you just do a file save as PDF for review. You can host that up onto Acrobat.com. Just identify who you'd like to be emailed so they could identify that there's this PDF file on Acrobat.com. They'll get this email with a hypertext link. They log into Acrobat.com and they can edit and make changes and comments directly through the web browser, or they could actually download the PDF file and make those changes and then upload it. Using Acrobat.com, we get real-time feedback of changes that are made. And we can track by user and by time. So when we want to integrate these comments back into the source content, it's just a couple of clicks of a button, and we can use our track edits feature to be able to accept and reject these changes. Huge feature, great time saver, and it guarantees that any changes that have been mocked up actually get integrated back into the source, no rekeying. So that is a really big feature.
Well, given this month's topic, I guess I should ask, accessibility and tagging, is it an easy thing to do in TechCom Suite? Our InDesign users will often find it quite a struggle, to say the least, certainly until CS 5.5 came along.
Right. So when it comes to accessibility and tagging, Framemaker as a point product, and even RoboHelp, because RoboHelp will import Frame or Word documents or even PDF documents. By default, tagging has always been part of the Frame and RoboHelp experience. So what we do is we create templates, and it be it an unstructured template, be it an XML template, and the user just simply types in the content, imports pictures, videos, 3D graphics, and basically the formatting gets laid out based upon tags that you apply. So if it's unstructured, you're applying paragraph tags and character tags. If it's XML, you're just applying elements. By doing that, saving as tagged PDF is as easy as saving as tagged PDF because everything is already pre-tagged. So it's really built into the product. There's no additional work that has to be required to get that done.
Talking of CS 5.5, which is all about delivery to multiple platforms, how does TechCom Suite compare in terms of things like publishing to mobile devices?
Yeah, as I was saying with the Society of Technical Communicators conference this year, multiple platforms, outputting content to multiple platforms is huge. And when it comes to Technical Communication Suite, what we do is we leverage RoboHelp. And RoboHelp gives us the ability to be able to just do a file publish if we're actually creating our content in Framemaker, and we can publish to Adobe Air, all of the help files that you're used to using, like HTML help, web help, Eclipse help, Java help. We can also create the EPUB file that is required to be able to put this content on the tablet devices and the iPhone and Android devices also.
Now, the other big thing about CS 5.5 is the new subscription model. So, any plans to adopt that for TechCom Suite?
Yeah, good try, the subscription model. I really can't comment on that. It's just not my place to do that now. Good try, though.
Well, can't blame us for asking. Given how closely you're involved with the technical writing industry, do you think overall that people are actually doing a good job making their content accessible, or are there particular areas where things can be improved?
Yeah, I've been involved in the technical communication area for over 2 decades, and like I said, because I was really frame-centric for most of those years, tagging is really inherent in the product itself. So accessibility was always built into the product, So I do think they're really doing a good job because they really can't do a bad job by using the suite. So it's built into the product. It's there. By doing just what they need to do to create their content in the most efficient way possible, they're making it accessible. So they can't help but do a good job.
Now, it's been said with the power of modern software and hardware, we're getting to the point where computers can probably understand the meaning of content without all this hassle of tagging. Do you think we'll see a point where documents don't need to be made accessible in order to end up being accessible?
Yeah, no, you were talking about, being made accessible. Yeah, that's what I was explaining earlier with this pre-tagging. So we are going that route more and more. We're trying to make it as few steps as humanly possible to create the most accessible content possible. But it's really built into the product as it stands even today. We're moving forward as much as possible, trying to make that even easier to do. We've put a lot of effort into saving time for our users and the creators of our templates. So we're going about trying to make everybody more efficient, and accessibility is part of that efficiency.
Okay, great. Well, thanks a lot for your time, Tom.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. At any time, just feel free to contact me. I love giving interviews like this. I appreciate the opportunity. Have a good day.
If you want to learn more about TechCom Suite and the applications within it, then you can visit Tom's blog at tmaldus.com, or you can follow him on Twitter at tmaldus. Now that's it from me. I will see you next time, and over to Laurie.
Thanks everyone for joining us for our session on ensuring your PDF is accessible. We hope you enjoyed today's session presented by the AEC community, and we hope to see you again next month.